adopt the agenda as presented. I so move. Second by Councillor Tuohey. Are there any amendments to the agenda as presented? Seeing none on the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. We have the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, April the 14th, 2020. I move to declare the minutes adopted as presented. Second, Councillor Anderson. Are there any errors or omissions?
There was one, but I can't find it now. It was a little spelling error,
Okay.
like the word was just twisted around.
Okay. It didn't materially change the,
No.
okay.
No.
All right, seeing and hearing none then, I declare on the motion, all those in favor, opposed, carried. We have no delegations. We move on to correspondence. Item 5.1, BC Gaming Grant from Hazelton. And I would like to move to receive and file.
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor Anderson, thank you. The reason I say that, it's very interesting to read the resolutions coming from other communities, but they're just asking for support at UBCM. And at this point in time, we of course do not know if UBCM is even proceeding this year, so.
Yeah, because we would be leaving.
Well, UBCM
Tomorrow
September, no,
for
that's Silga, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so, I know, I thought that.
It dinged on my phone.
Yeah. So any discussion on this? On the motion, then all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 5.2, we have a request for a letter of support from School District 74 for an application to expand childcare. Councillor Tuohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the application to expand childcare with School District 74 Gold Trail.
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor Anderson, moved by Councillor Tuohey, thank you. And CEO Dyck has checked into this to make sure that what they're asking for is fine, and it's her understanding that because it's being provided by the school, we don't have to be involved, we can write the letter of support. And of course, childcare is something that we have been hearing about for the last several years, that is a hindrance to people who live here and to new employees who want to come to town. Councillor Tuohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I just want to add to that's what I came to Ashcroft for in 1977. And 30 years ago, I requested that the school district put daycare into the school, and at that time it was Cockervale. And I am so glad that finally, 30 years later, after that request, things are starting to move in that direction. It takes so long. Yeah. And my kids are growing, and now it's my grandkids. So I still am so in support of it.
Any further discussion? On the question then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. And we have information correspondence, 3 items. What is council's pleasure on these 3 items? Councillor Tuohey.
Move to receive and file, please.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Davenport. The Operation Lifesaver one, obviously that is going to be going in the newsletter next month from a previous request. But I think it would be valuable to have someone from Operation Lifesaver come to a community forum when we are able to have them again to do a presentation about rail safety, and possibly at the same time see about going into the schools to do the presentation. They have, I think, 2 or 3 presentations which differ according to the age of the students that they're talking to. So they tailor the presentation to the age groups. Councillor Tuohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I just want to add that I know that CP Rail has done a lot towards the safety. When I was raising my kids up on the Mesa, they were able to shortcut, and we were just discussing this amongst myself and my kids about how they used to shortcut across the tracks coming to town or going to school. And now, I didn't realize, but there's fence all along there, and you no longer can do that. And I said, wow, that's good, because I know that they crawled under trains and they did all those things that they shouldn't have.
I believe the fencing was a requirement to get the whistle cessation on the CP line. They had to do that in order to block access so that people couldn't just come, because it's such a long expanse between the 2 crossings.
Right. Well, it happened after I wasn't living up there and they were crossing.
All right, any further discussion? on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have no new business, so we move on to section 8, bylaws. We have bylaw, oh, sorry, I missed out one entirely by being too fast here. The motions list, pages 10 to 12. Do I have a motion for this item? I'd like to move to receive and file the motions list. Councillor Tuohey, second, thank you very much. And as always, excellent summation of where we are and what's been done and what's still in progress, so thank you very much for that. And there was one item. So of course, we've got the town hall coming up on May the 4th, which is next Monday, week tonight. And that is the statutorily required budget meeting, so that's still to be determined. It doesn't look like we're going to be having public gatherings anytime soon, so that will be available online for people to participate with the assistance of the Hub Online Network, so thank you very much.
And we're doing that from here, right?
Yeah.
That is it.
And,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead, Councillor Tuohey.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have something that we can post on Facebook about? Do you have something on your page?
I haven't put anything up yet. Pardon me?
It is coming with,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, okay, just so that we can share it.
absolutely.
So when it's available, we should share it everywhere we can, let people know. It will be posted as well to let people know about the process, how it's going to work, the date, the time, et cetera, and how they can participate.
So it's been advertised in the paper, that will be online already.
Oh.
So ad is going in this week, I guess. And then Hub Online will put it up on their
Okay.
page, which reaches everybody in town. And so if we want, we can still put it on the Merit page. It'll be reaching to everybody. And it'll be a streaming session here. And Gareth has kindly agreed to be taking the questions as they come up, and I'll answer what I can.
Okay.
Hopefully it goes.
Thank you. Councillor Davenport.
Would it be live streaming as well as predetermined questions that people can email in as well? Is it?
That's right, so the presentation's already up on the website, so they can email us already for any questions, and live streaming as well, and
Okay.
questions for, so.
I mean, I like the fact that the people, I mean, obviously we usually do it in person and people there on the night, we don't know what they're going to ask until they ask it. But I like the facility for having the questions in advance for people who maybe, even if we were having a public meeting as we normally would, couldn't be there in person, but they still are able to ask their question. I like that idea of being able to submit your questions in advance because I can't be there or, in whatever reason. So.
Great.
Any other discussion on the motions list? No? Seeing none then, on the question, to receive and file, all those in favor, opposed, carried. All right, now we have no new business. We still have no new business. So we move on to section 8, bylaws. We have bylaw 8.1, bylaw number 835, giving first 3 readings to the 5-year financial plan. So I would like to move that we give first 3 readings to bylaw number 835, 5-year financial plan. Second by Councillor Anderson, thank you. Is there any discussion on the 5-year financial plan? Any questions? If you have any questions, I'm sure CFO Bhalla would be more than happy to answer. No. Excellent concise summary, thank you very much. In good shape. So any discussion? No? Seeing and hearing none on this motion, all those in favor, opposed, carried. We move on to item 8.2, which is first 3 readings of the tax rate bylaw number 836/2020. And I move that we give first 3 readings to the Village of Ashcroft tax rate bylaw number 836/2020.
Second.
Second, Councillor Davenport, thank you. And is there any discussion on this item? CFO Bhalla.
Your Worship, the rates have been changed to 0%, just letting everybody know again, and and has gone into both the first three readings for both bylaws. So no increases from the village, and the increases, village is about 55, the other is 45% for other. Their increases for businesses have been significantly cut, and school has also been cut. Police has gone up a little bit, but on average, people should not see a tax increase.
That's
It's good.
Okay. And one of the changes that the province has made is, as far as I can tell, they are still requiring that municipalities submit their taxes collected by August the 2nd. The one exception is the Ministry of Education portion, which does not have to be paid until the end of the year for a municipality if the cash flow is a little tight. The caveat is that you can only, if you decide not to pay the Ministry of Education on August 2nd, you say, we'll pay you at the end of the year. The money that you are not paying to the Ministry of Education for the time being needs to go to pay off other property tax payees, such as in our case the TNRD, the hospital district, the RCMP, BC Assessment Authority. You cannot take that money and use it to pay off a loan or for a capital project. It has to go to pay off some of your other property taxes. So as far as I know, we are planning on paying all of our taxes owed by August 2nd.
Yes, Your Worship. We'll stick to the deadlines. We're in a good financial position, and we'll pay everything rather than defer one to pay somebody else and then rush around and try to pay. We'll pay everything on time. The other change which has happened is that the 10% penalty, which was due date was July 15th, for businesses is now October 1st. So by September 30th, if they get the taxes in, they do not get the penalty. On October 1st, the penalty will be applied. I still encourage, for cash flow purposes, people who can pay should pay. The residence date still remains July 15th. I will send a letter along with the taxes outlining the changes. But every second week we'll get a different update from the ministry, so with the most recent update.
Any further discussion? On the motion then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Section 9, staff reports. Item 9.1, a housing needs assessment. And I would like to move that council approve the Village of Ashcroft housing needs assessment and that the document be made available to the public on the village website.
I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds that. And is there any discussion on this? Councillor Tuohey.
Sure, I'll put my 2 bits in. Thank you, Marilyn. I found it really interesting and very thorough, and I was quite pleased with it, and hopefully we can move forward on their suggestions for getting a task force going.
I found it very interesting reading. It was not surprising,
Mhm.
but it was interesting to get the confirmation of what I suspect we have all heard anecdotally from people around the village, specifically around the seniors who are in the family home who would like to downsize to something smaller and cannot in the community because there's nothing there for them. And something that, this is a very valuable tool, and I'm glad we've got it done. I think
Yes.
a lot of small municipalities still haven't gone ahead with this. I know it says the deadline for doing it is 2022, but I think it's better to get it done sooner because it's a very valuable tool for developers.
Yes.
Because if a developer has it in their head that we're gonna come in and build a lot of 6-bedroom family homes, we can show them the housing needs assessment and say, well, actually, we have data to back up that that is not necessarily what people in this community are looking for. So I think it's a way to help developers help concentrate their mind on what is actually needed as opposed to what they think is needed in the community, so. Any other discussion on the housing needs assessment? And this does not need now to be updated for another 5 years,
That's right.
correct?
And Allison will come and do a presentation from Urban Systems. She's just not able to travel at the time,
Right.
this time, right? So, and it's brought before our grant reporting requirement is coming due, so we thought it'd be best to get that done so we can get it reported and get the money back to us, because we have paid for all of it, but you get reimbursed after the fact, so
Right.
just keeping that cash flow flowing.
And it's good that it's 100% taken care of.
Absolutely.
No cost to
Yes.
the village.
Yeah,
So it's
And
great.
it was easy to understand.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Had a
well
nice
written.
flow.
Yeah.
And a lot of very interesting data about the demographic trends, et cetera. Interesting to note with the trend at the school, that the numbers are going up, and where they're seeing the increase in the numbers is in the lower grades, which again bears out the anecdotal evidence of seeing younger families or families
Yeah.
with younger children. So, you know, and that's what I've heard from people who work at the school, that the graduating classes for the next 2, 3, 4 years are still gonna be fairly small, and then they're gonna start getting bigger again, so that's good.
Encouraging.
Yeah, very encouraging. All right, any further discussion on the housing needs assessment? All right, seeing none on the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Is there a way, do you know, to quickly go to another page on this, rather than having to scroll through 100 pages of,
Even though
I don't know if our,
You don't have any,
Down.
you could build one, but page down.
or your finger.
Well,
I'm just
scrolling.
quickly
There's a
scrolling.
page down button on the,
Even just the down arrow goes pretty quick.
That's why we need a mouse.
yeah, because if you're back and forth,
Okay, I'm almost there, almost there.
102.
There we go.
Page 102.
Move on to item 9.2, Economic Development Recovery Select Committee.
Mhm.
So I would like to move that council establish a select committee of council to support economic development and COVID-19 recovery, and further, that the committee be comprised of 2 members of council, up to 4 members from the business community, the Village of Ashcroft Economic Development Contracted Agent, 1 representative from Community Futures Sun Country, and no more than 4 community not-for-profit members.
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor Anderson. Thank you. So, I guess we do a show of hands to see who would like to be on such a committee. Well, I'd like to be.
And I like to be-
Councillor Anderson. Councillor Anstett.
Well, it looks like you, 2 lovely ladies.
We've got 2 so far, but would either of you 2, would you be interested in being on that committee?
Not as far as council.
Yeah.
Okay, because, I mean, you could always
We
be a
could
member
be
with a
on
different hat,
business.
different hat on. Could they not, as
Because of
business?
business hours.
Would they, would that be?
that might be in a
Conflict?
yeah, because I think the community then would construe that as, well, now we've got 3 councillors as a board,
Right.
or,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Percent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't always be specific. so.
Yeah, I think maybe somebody from the real estate or something like that would be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, real
That's
estate
a
would
good
be a good
suggestion.
sector.
Yeah.
Food sector, and then I think some of the nonprofits would be good as well. E-Fry Society, I think, would be,
Yeah, and maybe the hub.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I know they're
definitely
very
hub.
busy, but there might be somebody on
I
there.
think our best bet would be to send out invitation, a letter of invitation, and asking those that are interested to apply, because it is gonna be a little bit time consuming, so, my experience is you kinda, it becomes an application process, and then council reviews, and the ones that are most, fit the criteria the most, maybe we'll only get enough to fill the seats, maybe we won't, maybe we'll have excessive applications, but we'll sort through that once those applications come in.
so is council comfortable with Councillor Anderson and myself being on the committee?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We have like a secondary or a backup, or is that not like
Like
a
an
committee?
alternate?
An
Alternate?
alternate, we can set an alternate for sure.
I would love to be an alternate.
Okay.
Maybe.
Now, would there be a facility at this committee for another member of council who is not on the committee to come and sit and listen?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, they can participate.
Okay. So you would be able to come and hear what's going on?
Right.
Right, not necessarily participant, but yeah.
All right, so Councillor Anderson and myself.
Okay, got it.
So do I need to amend the motion to include, since it did not?
No, because you haven't carried that motion yet, have you?
No.
It's only for discussion, so we can continue to make it all one motion.
Okay, so, and then the terms of reference, is everyone happy with the terms of reference as adopted, as presented slash amended? The only thing I noted was that in the preamble, it says up to 4 nonprofit members, and on page 105, item 3.1.3, it says members will be comprised of 4 nonprofit members. Do we
Okay.
need to amend it to be up to 4 nonprofit members and up to 4 business community members, just in case we don't get 4?
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side. Councillor Chu?
Thank you, Mayor Roden. Just a question for Daniela, actually. So will you send out the letters by business license? Is that how you'll contact?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this item? No, seeing none on the question then, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Item 9.3, information, we have none. We move on to item 10, council reports. You see my council report there starting on page 106. Does anyone have any questions? And I would actually like to add something to this, which came up today, and I would like to, for information, the BC Achievement Foundation Awards, BC Community Achievement Awards were announced today, and one of the 25 honorees throughout the province was former Cache Creek Mayor John Rantow, who was recognized for his 28 years as mayor, 8 years as on the TNRD, for some of that time as chair, for being on the executive of UBCM, including being president, and for his work for the community over almost 3 decades. So I would like to move that the Village of Ashcroft send a letter of congratulation to former Mayor Rantow, congratulating him on his BC Community Achievement Award. Do I have a seconder by Councillor Anderson? Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we have item 10.2, a report from Councillor Anderson. Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
does anyone have any questions on that, or?
I'd just like to add, so I got some more information this morning from Cleo Landucci regarding the items. So she just gave me a breakdown of what was delivered to Thompson View Assisted Living. And so they delivered 2 20-liter pails of hand sanitizer, 400 surgical masks offering 95% filtration, so that works out to 8 boxes. 2 boxes of small nitrile gloves, so 100 pairs of gloves. 2 boxes of medium latex gloves, and that's 100 pairs, and 2 boxes of large latex gloves, 100 pairs. So, yeah, they were very generous, and I was very happy and thankful that they were able to provide some of these supplies, because I know that Thompson View Manor, even though they had these supplies on order, they kept getting back ordered and back ordered. And so the back order was going on for weeks, right? And they didn't really know when they were getting them. And this was so timely because they were also starting to run out. They were concerned about that. So this was very timely. And if there are any others in the community, that are providing these types of services, health services, like, they can contact me, and I'd be happy to facilitate another, with some of these personal items, right, to assist in this during COVID-19 going on. So, yeah.
Great, thank you very much. That's, yeah, and that's wonderful community involvement, participation, and support from the Ashcroft Terminal.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so we move on to resolutions released from closed meeting. We have none. And so we move to item 12, question period. First of all, Mr. Smart from the Hub Online Network, did you have any questions that had been submitted to you or from yourself?
No, actually, the only question that I have is for that table, the group that you're talking about, is there room for not a participant from the Hub Online Network, but a person to sit in the room as well?
For the,
As a media presence?
for which the select committee for this?
Yes.
Can we look into that and get back to you?
Yeah,
Of course,
I don't, yeah, we've never had this come up before, so I don't know.
totally.
Okay. And we have had some questions from Gloria Mertens of 301 Rattlesnake Road. And so her first question is regarding the 5-year financial plan on page 15 of the agenda, Schedule A. She was asking why in 2022 the parcel taxes show a substantial increase, and that is anticipated to pay the carrying cost for the debt on the water treatment plant. CFO Bhalla says that he intends to have the loan paid off, but it is in there as a conservative measure for the loan payments on the water treatment plant. Her second question on page 17, she also asked about the increase on page 17 of the fees and services, 2021, the jump there. What specific fees and services are anticipated to be increased, and that will represent the last year of the sewer increases. This is the last year for the increases in the the water utility. Next year is the last year for the increases in the sewer. So that represents that. Her next is on page 17 about the light industrial class businesses, which show 0% of the total property tax. We only have one business that falls under that classification. Classifications are determined by BC Assessment Authority. We do not determine who goes in what class. So the reason it is so low is because we only have one in that classification. She asks about the housing needs assessment report. Are the trends of an aging demographic reflected in the projections of the 5-year financial plan? And the short and simple answer to that is no. However, we have, as a council, discussed with staff the idea of, as the crew especially are going about their business in the village, adopting age-friendly initiatives, such as if they're doing curbing and sidewalks, putting in more letdowns, etc., looking at wheelchair and accessibility for mobility challenged people. So that is something that the village is doing on an ongoing basis. There's a lengthy question regarding page 102, economic development and COVID-19 recovery, about the select committee. She wants council to consider creating a subcommittee that could specifically look at the housing needs of the community. And the short answer to that is that economic development and housing needs are two completely different things. So in talking with other municipalities and in conversations with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, recovery from COVID-19, especially business recovery, especially small business recovery, is the premier thing that municipalities will be concentrating on. So rather than try to muddy the waters by connecting two things which really have no connection, we're going to keep this specifically economic development. And it's important to remember too what the mandate of local government is. The mandate of local government is not to provide housing. We can assist with the development of housing, and we are doing that with keeping bylaws, official community plan up to date, subdivision servicing and development bylaw, the housing needs assessment, etc. But it is not our business to provide housing. So we can facilitate and assist. And we are doing that with a number of other things that we're doing in the village with bylaws, policies, etc. What outreach has there been with the property owners of the Tingley Street apartment complex? we are consistently reaching out to them and working on the issue. She asks, what outreach has there been with Desert Hills to facilitate development of their property? Discussion with Desert Hills is underway and is ongoing to see about development of that land. Would the village consider the development of its own mobile home park on the Mesa property, or identify another site and invite appropriate developers? The answer to that at the moment is no. The only piece of land we have is the Mesa property. And there is no consideration at this time to build a mobile home park there. And the final question on this is, how can the hotel study be aligned with the housing needs assessment report? And the simple answer is it can't. The hotel study is completely different from the housing needs assessment. However, we have as a council identified as a priority that when we hire the contract position for economic development, the hotel study will be one of the primary things that they focus on and start trying to develop, trying to push to get people interested in the hotel study and in coming here to see about building a hotel. And then finally, number 10, councillor report. She wants to thank Mayor Roden for consistently submitting a detailed report and asks if other council members could do this as well. So while I acknowledge the appreciative comments, I need to point out first that many, if not most of the committees that we are all part of have suspended all their meetings for the time being, or postponed, or have severely cut back on the number of meetings they have. So most of our committees are frozen at the moment. And secondly, the mayor of any municipality is in a different position from councillors in that the mayor receives invitations to be a participant in many more things than councillors are. That's simply the way it works. So the mayor has many more opportunities to take part in things. So what the mayor should do ideally is take part and then report back to council on what he or she did and what happened. So, but you know, if you do have a committee meeting or you have something related to council, your council activities that you've done, feel free to submit a report. Because it's interesting reading for the rest of us as well. And those were all the questions from Ms. Mertens. And were there any further questions, having gone through all that? No? You have 10 questions? Is that what that means?
No, I'm good.
All right, thank you very much.
Or 10 minutes is up.
All right, well, we have no need for a closed meeting, so I move that we terminate this meeting of Ashcroft Council. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Anderson seconds. On the question, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. No, we didn't bring it in 10 minutes.